archaeologists have discovered some artifacts of an ancient harp in Egypt, Africa. They estimated the date of the harp to be about 2500 BC, or even as early as 3000 BC. This harp was supposedly made by attaching strings across the two sides of a hunting bow. The archaeologists reported that their artifact was of the earliest harp. Was the artifact really of the earliest harp? Was the harp invented before 3000 to 2500 BC? The Bible reports in Genesis 4:21 that Jubal invented the harp. The dates of Jubal's birth and death are not recorded in the Bible. However, an estimate of his birth date can be arrived at by observing the dates of the births and deaths of his forefathers. Jubal was the seventh generation of Cain, the first mentioned son of Adam and Eve. That makes Jubal the eighth generation of Adam through Cain. The lineage of Cain is not completely outlined in the Bible. Nevertheless, upon observing the lineage of Seth, one can make a reasonable calculation of the birth of Jubal. Note that the lineage of Seth is outlined because it is through his lineage that Jesus, the Messiah, came into the world. Now, we need to know the year in which Adam was created. That will be a starting point to get us to the closest calculation of Jubal's birth date and the years in which he might have been alive. A clergyman named Ussher, who lived in the 17th century, calculated the creation of Adam to have occurred in the year 4004 BC. In his calculation, Ussher utilized, amongst other documents, the genealogy mentioned in the Bible, the reigns of the Jewish kings, the time the Jews spent in Babylonian captivity, and even secular historical record to arrive at his conclusion. Since Ussher got the affirmation of most of his peers, I will take Ussher's date for Adam's creation into consideration to calculate the birth date of Jubal. Adam was born in the year 1 AM. AM is abbreviation for the Latin Anno Mundi, meaning in the year of the world. He had Seth, as noted, when he was 130 years old. By the time Seth was born, Cain had already killed Abel, had left home into banishment with his wife. By observing our chart, the patriarch's first children were born when they were about 60 years old. We also notice that the seventh generation of Adam through Seth, Enoch, was born in 622 AM. Therefore, the seventh generation on Adam through Cain, Jubal, could have been born about 500 AM or a little earlier. So Jubal must have been born and have lived a large portion of his life in the first 1,000 years after creation. Notice that, according to our calculation, Jubal was alive before the timeline of the dated harp artifacts of 3000 BC to 2500 BC if creation date was 4000 BC. Therefore, it is plausible to think that the harp artifacts that modern archaeologists unearthed and dated could have been Jubal's harp, one that he built, or a replica of his art. We also have no choice but to agree with the Bible that Jubal invented the first harp.